So Beacon College was started a little over 30 years ago by parents who were not finding colleges that really supported their students' learning differences and neurodivergences. And since then, it's become a college. Well, we usually call it a small boutique college because we do keep our student body quite low so that we can serve them properly. But we include things like mental health support. We include a lot of instructor time, including office hours. We have what's called open learning, which is like study hall on steroids, where you have a learning specialist on duty as well as peer tutors to help students break down tasks, stay on task, complete tasks. And of course, we have people like me who are learning specialists who have had the experience with neurodivergent learners. And we do basically executive functioning coaching as we go through their syllabi and their classes each semester, kind of help them learn to break tasks down on their own and help them to learn to self advocate and use the resources on campus. The cool thing is that you do need to have a learning difference, autism, or ADHD to qualify to attend Beacon. So everybody has some kind of challenge, and it really is a special place with built in accommodations. You don't necessarily have to request some of these accommodations because they're already built in, like preferential seating, extra time with the professors, extra time on assignments, etc.
Joining us is Melissa Packwood, a learning specialist and adjunct instructor with Beacon College, as well as a certified teacher and educational consultant. Hi, Melissa. Welcome. Thank you for being on today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
How do students or prospective students find Beacon College?
So we are a liberal arts college, so we do focus on some of those main majors like humanities, human services, psychology. We also have business management, hospitality, and similar topics that we do cover for majors and minors. In addition to that, we have some college prep coursework and college prep programs that help with transitioning from high school to college. We have Navigator. Prep and Navigator Prep Junior that our transition services department utilize virtually to help students get prepared for that high school to college transition. We also have a Summer for Success for students who are freshmen and sophomores and often juniors as well. They can come to Beacon College if accepted to the program, try out what would be a college level program here on campus, stay with us for 3 weeks, and practice balancing social, emotional, physical, and academic needs. They would have social and emotional coaches. They would have life skills help so they could keep their spaces clean and learn how to do all the things you would do if you're living independently. And they would also have things like an option to take a financial planning class or a cooking class in addition to academic courses. In addition to that, we have the College Edge, which is geared to those seniors who have just graduated, as well as those who maybe tried college in another place and it didn't go very well for some reason. And they get similar supports, but it's a shorter program, usually 1.5 to 2 weeks, but it's the same idea. You try out those college level classes. You have the support of our mental health counselors and life skills staff, in addition to the staff members who are teaching courses. And you get to try out that college level coursework in kind of that low stakes environment. So it's not a situation where you earn credit, but it is a situation where you can see what college would be like and see what your challenges are. Everybody does leave with a thorough report about what went well and what might need to be worked on and how we can help them moving forward.
And that transition program during the summer that you mentioned, this is for incoming freshmen. I think did you say sophomores as well?
So yes, so Summer for Success is one of them and College Edge is the other. Summer for Success would focus on those who have finished their freshman year, sophomore year, or junior year of high school. And then College Edge would be for those who have just finished their senior year and or who have finished at another college, but perhaps it didn't go well and they're considering their options.
Do students come from all over the country to attend Beacon, or are they mostly local to Florida?
So we do get students from all over the country, as far away as Alaska, Hawaii, etc. So yes, we do have international students as well as students here. And there are sometimes satellite programs that happen depending on different partnerships that are available in other states or countries as well. We do have what's called the Foundations program that sometimes will also assist if somebody's not quite sure if they're ready for college, or if perhaps they aren't quite where they need to be academically and want to go ahead and try a couple of classes instead of a full course load. Occasionally, that's an option for them too.
What are the major struggles that you feel like neurodiverse students who are they've completed high school, now they're moving away from home, maybe they're moving into the college environment and all the different expectations which are very different from in high school. How what are some of the major problems that you see, and kind of how do you help identify students with those challenges and help them work through that? Maybe you can just talk a little bit more specifics.
Sure. So, one of the biggest challenges that we see tends to be time management. So, a lot of times students are coming from an environment where mom and dad or teacher were pushing them to do things by a certain due date. They might have even had modifications to the curriculum where they had, um, less work to do as compared to a same age peer, or perhaps they had an accommodation for extra time or alternative assessments. These are all wonderful options, but the real world doesn't always function that way. And so you have to really be able to break down those assignments, manage your time, and juggle different classes. Which assignment should I start today? Which one do I need to start tomorrow in order to get to the writing center next week before the due date? Because I'll need to go to the writing center to have them help me edit my work. And so that's something that we do help students to work through. Um, as we front load the week with students, what we will do is sit down with them and look at all of their classes and all of the upcoming assignments. And we look at the next week ahead of us and talk with them about what's most urgent, what's the class where you need to raise the grade the most, how can we plan out this big essay so that you have time to get it done and you can still manage your stress level, take breaks when needed, etc. So that's definitely a big thing, the time management. We do sometimes have freshman behaviors that every freshman tends to exhibit. They want to hang out with friends, or they're homesick, or they'd rather go to the basketball game than to go to the writing center. That is typical freshman behavior, just so that we're super clear. It's not unique to neurodivergent youth. However, parents often get worried because they are so concerned already and invested already in their kids. So I do want to remind parents this is normal behavior, but it is a big challenge for someone perhaps with ADHD or anxiety, right?
How are these expectations, for the students relayed in advance of attending, and sort of how do you walk that edge between students being responsible for themselves and being scaffolded in their schedules and development of these skills, um, because everybody's coming at this from different places. How do you navigate that in terms of, I guess what I'm asking is who's a good fit, when is it not a good fit, how do you,
Yeah.
how does that work?
So as long as your student is willing to work on things and self-advocate and ask for help, if they're willing to learn those skills or use them if they already have those skills, they're going to do well. When I see somebody not doing well, it's because they didn't utilize resources or they didn't self-advocate. So one of the jobs that learning specialists do is we establish rapport straight away. A lot of us will work the summer programs so that if a student does come to Beacon as a regular student in the fall or a year later or 2 years later, we kind of already have that rapport with them from teaching the classes or working with them as a coach. And so that's a really great way to front load that rapport so that they know us and feel comfortable coming to us for support. Same with our counselors. They often will work the summer programs. So we've got that prior knowledge of each other and that experience, and they feel comfortable. So once we do meet them the weekend before school starts, if we didn't already know them, we meet them the weekend before school starts. And then we straight away that first week talk about what's in each syllabus. what's the big picture, and then we look at what's the small picture, right? So again, we talk about what happens that week or the next week, and we talk about what activities they want to do. We also talk to them about any challenges they might have, anything that might be on their radar or that they're worried about, because a lot of times they'll tell us, I'm worried because I always lose track of time. And so in that case, maybe we could give them a suggestion like, let's use a digital calendar. Let's use your Outlook email calendar to give you notifications. Let's set that up on your phone. It really is individualized though. So whoever's locking in the door, that's who you're serving at that moment. In the learning specialist sessions, it is one on one. So it's really easy to tailor make a plan for each student. It is kind of hard to say what you would do for each individual until they're in the door with you. They do generally stay with us for about 2 years.
I'm just amazed by the difference between the supports that Beacon College provides. I think back to my college years. I had an advisor who I think I met with maybe once a semester, and that was it. So, so you meet with the students initially. You're very closely involved with assessing where they are, monitoring, figuring out what it is that they need, and then as that semester progresses, how often do you interact with the student? Is this on a daily basis? Is this weekly check-ins, or again, does this just all depend on the needs of the individual?
So it does technically depend on the needs of the student. However, in general, it's 1 to 2 sessions per week. And we do also serve as open learning staff. So that means that once a week, I'm also doing the tutoring help in open learning. And so if I'm teaching a course or if I have students who I really need to see an additional time that week, I'll ask them to come work with me during my session, or I'll go introduce them to the learning specialist on duty, like before or after our appointments. So we can kind of move from here's our plan that we've made in our learning specialist appointment. Now let's go out to the open learning area where you can have help getting that done since I have other meetings this day. But yes, generally it's once a week or twice a week. It's pretty cool because we are there to support them however they need it, whenever they need it.
How does Beacon College attract or train or support the regular the professors who are experts in their field or teaching their class? Do they just focus on the content, the subject matter, or are they also trained in this kind of wraparound approach to supporting all these other skills that are involved in learning?
So that's a great question. So your learning specialist is going to be more of an executive functioning and um, what support do you need kind of coach. Now, your faculty members are going to be trained on neurodivergence, mental health challenges, so that they can work on de escalation if things get heated for some reason or if somebody's experiencing some distress. They've got some tools in their toolkit to kind of calm things down. We also have what's called community educators. They're amazing at establishing rapport, and they can also come out to support if needed. But in general, we don't need them too awful much to do that and intervene because we do have some training for the staff and faculty regarding de-escalation and when to notice if things are starting to get a little stressful for somebody, but maybe they're not telling you yet that they're stressed. But there's definitely some things there to support. We do also talk with them about chunking up assignments so that it's step by step. We do talk with faculty a lot about ways to make things multimodal and make sure that, you've got alternative options. It's not just always a test or a paper. A lot of times we'll have projects that are collaborative because in the workplace, that is often what happens. You have to work on a team to get a task done or reach a goal or deadline. So we do focus on a lot of the things that would help you in that future job. We do utilize the Career Center staff, which we do have a lovely Career Center as well with very knowledgeable staff. We utilize them a lot for trainings to help us figure out, what is the industry standard for this or that, and how can we integrate that into classes. It's really awesome. I will also mention that we have what's called a triadic model where the learning specialist, the transition counselor, and if the students are on campus in housing, they are also a part of it. And each student basically has those three people that they can reach out to for help pretty much at any time, and we can collaborate if there needs to be a solution or support for the student, and we need to figure out what to do for some issue that's popped up. That's pretty special. I don't think that was at my college ever.
No, this sounds
No.
wonderful and very, very different from my experience. Are most of your students on campus? Do they live on campus?
Yes, a large portion are on campus. Sometimes you'll have a student who lives in an apartment off campus, but generally it's a good idea to have them on campus so that they can stay socially, emotionally, academically engaged and so that we can help out. If I haven't seen a student for a couple days and I'm a little worried, I can send the community educator out or I can ask the person who is out in housing, hey, have you seen so and so? Can you make sure they're okay? Again, that's not something that would have happened at my college campus back in many years ago. So I think it's a good thing for students to be held accountable. I also think it's a good thing for parents to feel that relief of not having to worry all the time and that we do have their back and their students' back.
Of course. It
Yeah.
sounds like just the familiarity with some of the challenges or the learning styles of the students by the professors and by other support staff is really huge because we hear so often from college students who feel like they're just not really understood or heard and
Uh-huh.
they just get dropped off. I mean, the notes get handed out or the lecture is delivered or there's a test assigned or an essay and that's kind of you're on your own and if you can't hack it, see you later. Can you talk a little bit about class structure in terms of like class size? How does a classroom maybe accommodate some of these differences? Um, Scheduling, are all your students full time or is it part time or depend? And is there an online versus in person option? How does that work?
Right. So that's great questions. I would say that anybody who has questions in addition to what we discussed could definitely reach out to admissions, come do a tour, ask questions that are specific to your situation and your concerns because we are all unique learners. But I will say that the most students are here, the largest portion are here on campus in Leesburg, Florida. And then we do sometimes have some online students through the Foundations program. But again, those students would not likely have a full course load. So it's way better if you are able to come in person and your student's ready for that full-time schedule to apply and go ahead and talk with admissions about, hey, do I qualify to go to school full-time there on campus? We do have dorms and apartments that are campus run housing. We do have a dining hall as well as a cute little coffee shop that takes the meal swipe cards and we are downtown, so there are a lot of additional, options for you as far as stores, events, and things that are local. It's a really great community, and the students who live on campus do find that they find that camaraderie, that social component that maybe wasn't there in high school. They could have been bullied because they might have seemed a little different from somebody else, and so this is an opportunity also to experience, that first boyfriend or girlfriend situation and to learn how to, deal with our emotions and mood regulation as well.
Wow, that's so great. So it's really a culture of awareness and acceptance and support. It sounds like a transformative experience and a really, really valuable foundation for that next step beyond college. I'm curious, and I'm sure you have lots of examples, but what is some of the feedback that you get from your graduates who've gone out into the world and look back at their time at Beacon College?
Well, I know that they have included quite a few quotes on the website, in the promos, and they're really awesome because some of those students are people I did know personally while they were here. In general, our goal is to have everybody fully employed, not partially employed. We want them to go out, be successful, reach their dreams, be independent. So, what we do get as far as feedback is that people are very loyal. They're very appreciative of the opportunities and they want to tell other people about Beacon, which I think says a lot.
Do you have anything else that you wanted to add that I might have glossed over, forgotten to mention?
I do want to make sure to mention that we work very hard with our career services department here. The Career Center's been amazing with making sure that students have those 80 plus internship hours that are required for our graduation. We do also have a career class of some sort every single year that they are here. So it starts out with learning essentials and then a career exploration class. And then their last 2 years, they make sure to have some internship hours in their subject area so that they're marketable, employable, and ready to go and be independent. So I think that's really important that we have those hands-on opportunities both in the classroom with our multimodal lessons. And then also we have those opportunities outside of the classroom as interns and of course student employees can get.
This is I just wanted to overview your college and what you're doing there. We've chatted before. It sounds like a
Yes.
really fantastic resource for learners. I know our audience will appreciate this. I'm going to put the information about Beacon College and anything else that you'd like to share with me. I'll put that in the show notes so that everybody can find that. And then in the future, I'd love to have you back on just to talk more generally about some of the challenges that you see related to transitioning from high school to college and beyond because you're so experienced with this. You just can't talk about this enough and get this out there enough so that people understand it.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. I'd be happy to do that.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much, Melissa. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's it from us today. As always, you can find more information as well as resources on our website, individualmatters.org. We hope you'll join us at the next podcast where we'll continue to explore topics around successful living, learning and education, and child development, and share ways to help you live a more positive and fulfilling life.
The preceding information is not intended to provide or serve as medical, clinical, or educational advice. Individual Matters is not responsible for the accuracy of guest statements. All information should be validated independently. Please consult with your doctor, mental health provider, attorney, or other appropriate professionals before making any personal decisions for yourself or those in your care.